Cole had figured it out a while ago. Serena wasn't some born-and-bred ice queen. She was just a straight-A student, a classic good girl who did what she was told. At school, her world was books and lectures, not small talk. But now it seemed like some latent talent was beginning to awaken. She was evolving from an untouchable goddess into a girl who used puppy dog eyes and cute emojis. And as everyone knows, that kind of cute is a weapon of mass destruction. But this was Cole, a guy with the soul of a 32-year-old veteran of life's battles. He wasn't going to be so easily conquered. I can't let my roommate perish because of my negligence, he typed back. Once field training is over, I'll provide you with a double-length massage service. Since the campus bell was laying on the charm, he had to at least offer some consolation, even if he couldn't go. It was a matter of pride. Serena's reply came instantly. Okay, then pleading face. After field training, you owe me double. You got it. I promised to put my heart into it. Cole allowed himself a small, knowing smile. He was made of sterner stuff now. He'd been taken down by that kind of cute offensive before and had learned his lesson the hard way. Still, he had to admit, teasing her like this was twice as fun. Bling, Facebook Messenger pinged again. It was Jasmine. You in your dorm or out playing games somewhere? In the dorm, sis, Cole replied dutifully. Make sure you get enough rest during field training. When it's over, I'll take you out somewhere fun. Got it, sis. Jasmine messaged him almost every night just to check in. She'd done the same thing in his past life, but back then he'd been so withdrawn and clueless that he'd often ignored her messages while lost in his games. Having a sister like her looking out for him was a blessing. Reborn, he knew it was worth cherishing. Just then, the dorm room door opened and Preston and Javi walked in. Not coming out with us tonight, Preston declared, glancing at Cole with an expression that screamed you missed out on $1,000,000. One of the biggest regrets of your life. Find a 20 on the ground? Cole shot him a sideways glance, then looked at a beaming Javi, who was practically glowing like he'd just won the lottery. Am I the kind of guy who bends over for loose change? Preston lifted his chin disdainfully. I believe that. Cole nodded with mock reverence. If this guy saw a $100 bill on the ground, he'd probably step on it just to prove he didn't need the money. There was a real-life example of that. Actually, though Cole had shoved him aside and pocketed the cash before Preston's foot could make contact. Seeing that Cole wasn't showing the slightest curiosity, Preston started getting antsy, like an itch he couldn't scratch. Aren't you going to ask what we scored? He finally burst out. Nope. Cole didn't even look up from the notebook where he was organizing his tea shop recipes. Impossible. Stop pretending. I know you're dying to know. Fine, I'll tell you. Unwilling to be ignored, Preston launched into a grand unveiling. He recounted the night's adventure, whether Cole was listening or not. The story was simple. They had run into 3 sophomore girls handing out flyers for a part-time gig and had successfully gotten their numbers. The moment he finished, Frank, who had been lying on his bed facing the wall like a corpse, suddenly rolled over. How come you guys didn't ask me to come? Cole, Preston, and Javi all stared at him, bewildered. Preston just shrugged. I figured you wouldn't want to go, so I didn't bother. Frank didn't reply. He just rolled back over to face the wall again. So you two were out chatting with them until just now? Cole pulled the conversation back on track. Damn, those two got lucky. The first chapter of their love stories had just begun. Not exactly, Preston stammered. Javi, a warm smile on his face, picked up the thread. The 2 upperclassmen were exhausted from standing all day, so they went back to their dorms. We just finished handing out the rest of the flyers for them. Cole nearly choked on his own saliva. He gave them both a thumbs up. Respect. Preston just chuckled, pleased with himself. Then, he looked at Cole with a sympathetic expression. That department bell hasn't come around in a while. Did you two break up? Department bell? It took Cole a second to realize he meant Serena. She's been busy. We'll talk after field training, he said, not bothering to correct Preston's assumption that they'd broken up. Honestly, their relationship was hard to define. It wasn't exactly dating, but it was more than just friendship. It was a comfortable ambiguity. As long as Serena didn't push for more, he wasn't going to try and elevate it. Maybe that made him a bit of a player, but it was also a form of self-preservation. Better than getting his heart broken down the line. He was done with that kind of idealistic romance. It only ever led to pain. Don't pretend to be strong. A girl at that level is out of your league, Preston said, a look of I see right through you on his face. Inwardly, though, he was thrilled. He'd finally scored a point against Cole. Yeah, you're right. Cole nodded earnestly, as if he were listening to a sage. Too bad we can't organize that mixer with the other department. Preston sighed dramatically, then immediately perked up. But it doesn't matter. I don't need it anymore. Cole was about to say something when Frank, the wall facer, sat bolt upright, a strange excitement in his eyes. Cole, you got dumped too? What the hell? Cole was speechless. Misery loves company, huh? Cole got dumped. You didn't even make the first cut for that hottest guy on campus thing. Preston twisted the knife, exposing the truth. At least I loved, Frank declared with theatrical anguish, before turning back to his wall. This kid. Cole shook his head. He couldn't be bothered to explain whether he'd been dumped or not. Preston whistled a cheerful tune and headed for the shower, his steps as jaunty as a general returning from a victorious battle. Finally, the grueling 2 weeks of freshman field training came to an end. It concluded on a Friday, a perfect bit of scheduling that gave his sun-scorched, exhausted students a full weekend to recover. First thing Saturday morning, Cole went to check on the renovation progress at his shop. A carpenter was building the main counter, and an electrician was busy in the bathroom. Cole pulled out 2 packs of Marlboros he'd bought and handed one to each of them. He used to be a pack-a-day smoker, but after being reborn, the craving had vanished. The carpenter, seeing the brand-name cigarettes, lit up and started chatting enthusiastically with Cole. This was exactly what Cole had hoped for. Sometimes, a single pack of good smokes could make a contractor more patient and meticulous, even willing to point out potential problems. You couldn't overdo it, though. 1 pack was a gesture of goodwill. A whole carton was a sign of desperation. The non-slip floor tiles were already laid. The walls were painted a clean white, and the electrical outlets were installed exactly where he'd specified. The lines for the air conditioner were also in place. The small loft from the original noodle shop had been demolished. Instead of a drop ceiling, the space was now open all the way to the roof, where new light fixtures would hang. It made the whole place feel more spacious and comfortable. Overall, Cole was satisfied. Everything was going according to plan. After a quick chat with the contractors, he left. He had to go buy a phone for his #1 employee, Luna. The shop would need to be furnished soon, and she would need to be on call. He was on his way to the Verizon store when his phone buzzed. A Facebook message. It was Jasmine. Cole, the sun's up. Get your butt out of bed. I'm taking you to check out North Lake today. The view is amazing. North Lake was adjacent to Eastwood University, but it was on the far side from the business school. Cole knew it like the back of his hand. He was about to reply when another message pinged. It was Serena. Cole, I want to go to North Lake. My roommate said it's beautiful, but I'm scared to go by myself. Cole blinked. A multiple-choice question. For a grandmaster with a 32-year-old soul, decision paralysis didn't exist. This was child's play. The answer was obvious. Say yes to both. He replied to the campus bell first. Your skin is so fair, and the sun is brutal today. You'll get burned. How about I take you tonight instead? We can grab dinner, find a nice bench by the lake, and I can deliver that double-length foot massage I promised. He waited a few seconds. Bling. A reply. Okay, smiling face with hearts. I was thinking the same thing. It's cooler at night, and we can see the lake's night view. What time should we meet? Cole thought for a moment. Let's say 5. We can find a good place to eat first, then go for a walk around the lake. She replied instantly. Okay, smiling face with hearts. I'll take a nap and wait for you in my dorm. Sounds good. Problem solved. It was all for the sake of protecting the campus belle's delicate skin, of course, he told himself with a slight smile. Next, he replied to Jasmine. I'm up, sis. I'll head over to the east gate of Eastwood Tech and wait for you there. Jasmine must have been waiting for his message, because she replied immediately. Okay, meet you at the east gate. The phone would have to wait until tomorrow. About 15 minutes later, Cole arrived at the east gate of Eastwood Tech. A road there led directly to North Lake, less than a mile away. The gate was bustling with students coming and going, vibrant, stylish girls, and handsome, energetic guys, the air thick with the scent of youth. After a boring wait of nearly 20 minutes, Jasmine finally appeared, her long legs striding toward him. She wore an apricot-colored t-shirt with a pair of denim hot pants that looked almost like a miniskirt, revealing a generous portion of her pale thighs. The hem of her shirt was tucked in, accentuating her slender waist. Her dark hair was pulled up into a messy top knot, adorned with a small, flowery clip, leaving her face completely exposed, a perfect blend of flirtatious charm and fresh-faced beauty. Jasmine, with her cool, sophisticated vibe, was a natural head-turner, a certified heartbreaker. Some of the guys passing by looked like they wanted to nail their gazes to her. Cole's own eyes lit up as he watched her approach. His sister was drop-dead gorgeous. As she got closer, Jasmine looked him up and down. Well, she teased. 2 weeks of field training, and you're looking even more handsome. I've always been handsome. Thank you very much, Cole replied, his expression a perfect picture of narcissism. TCH. So full of yourself, she scoffed, rolling her eyes. Cole mimicked her, looking her up and down before stroking his chin thoughtfully. And half a month apart has done wonders for your figure, sis. You're impossible. Jasmine playfully punched him in the chest, her face a mask of mock annoyance, but her eyes were smiling. Ow, you hit me again. Cole clutched his chest, feigning a serious internal injury. You know what they say? Jasmine sniffed. You always tease the one you love. In that case, could you show your love with a kiss instead of a punch next time? Cole asked, a pained look on his face to hide his mischievous intentions. No way. Jasmine lifted her delicate chin, as proud as a queen. Cole was about to retort when a girl's voice called out, Jasmine. A group of 3 guys and 2 girls were walking out of the campus gate. We're going biking at North Lake. You should come, the girl who had called out shouted as she approached. She was cute, maybe a 6 or 7 out of 10. Jasmine smiled. I'm taking my little brother out. That's your brother? I thought he was your boyfriend, the girl said, glancing at Cole's simple attire. She quickly lost interest and didn't even bother with a greeting. Jasmine didn't elaborate, instead introducing the group to Cole. The 2 girls were her roommates. The one who had shouted was Wendy, the other was Beth. They were with their boyfriends. The 3rd guy, tall and slender with a refined, pale face, carried himself with an air of quiet arrogance. His name was Ethan. Jasmine, you can bring your brother along, Ethan said. He first sized up Cole, then turned his gaze to Jasmine, his eyes burning with an undisguised heat. Cole noticed it immediately. So, this was one of his sister's admirers. Not surprising. With Jasmine's looks, it would be strange if she didn't have a fan club. I guess that's fine, Jasmine said, making the decision for Cole. Seeing her agree, a flash of excitement was clearly visible in Ethan's eyes. The group of 7 started walking toward the lakeside path. Cole! Jasmine took off her small backpack and handed it to him. Cole dutifully swung it onto his own back. Seeing this, a flicker of something passed through Ethan's eyes. He smiled and said, You 2 don't look much alike. One of you must take after your dad, and the other after your mom. If they had bothered to say hello to Cole, they would have known one's last name was Young and the other's was Miller. But they hadn't. Cole wasn't interested in why, nor did he feel any urge to introduce himself. What's so strange about that? There are plenty of siblings who don't look alike. There are even married couples who start to look alike over time. Maybe we'll grow to look more similar, Jasmine said casually, tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. The simple, gentle movement only added to her charm, making the other guy's eyes burn with envy. Ethan moved to walk on Jasmine's other side. He readily agreed. That's true. They say that when people like each other and think about each other a lot, they start to resemble one another. As soon as he said it, he felt like something was off, but he couldn't put his finger on it. Jasmine's expression was neutral, and she didn't respond. Ethan wisely shut his mouth. Sensing the awkward silence, Wendy started chatting with Jasmine. 7 or 8 minutes later, the group arrived at the bike and scooter rental spot next to a small convenience store. An idea struck Ethan. He said with a concerned tone, Jasmine, it's so sunny. Let me buy you an umbrella to use. Cole narrowed his eyes, but said nothing. He was certain his sister would refuse. No, that's okay. Jasmine waved her hand, but the word sunny reminded her of something. She turned to Cole. Did you put on sunscreen this morning? No, I bought some spray-on stuff, but forgot to use it. Cole had indeed forgotten, thinking he'd just be grabbing the phone and heading right back. Jasmine told Cole to turn around. She rummaged through her small backpack and pulled out a tube of sunscreen. Head down, she commanded. Cole guessed what she was about to do and obediently lowered his head. He felt a wave of comfort. His sister's care was always so timely. The others looked on, puzzled and surprised. You're not actually going to put sunscreen on him, are you? He's a grown man. Can't he do it himself? Jasmine's actions confirmed their suspicions. She dotted Cole's face with white sunscreen until he looked like a clown, then began to gently rub it in with her small hands. Wendy and the others were speechless. You're really doing it? You really spoil this brother of yours. A shadow of gloom passed over Ethan's eyes, but he quickly composed himself, forcing a smile as if he were deeply moved by their profound sibling bond. Inwardly, he was cursing. What a spoiled brat, and so tall for nothing. He's completely coddled by his sister. You guys go ahead and rent your bikes. I'll be done in a minute, Jasmine said, afraid she was making them wait. Ethan quickly put on a magnanimous air. It's no problem, we'll wait. Wendy and the others exchanged glances, but said nothing. After all, they were here to play wingman for the vice president of the student union. After finishing his face, Jasmine started on Cole's arms and the backs of his hands. Holy crap, the others could only click their tongues in disbelief. It was a mind-boggling, unbelievable sight. This brother of hers was a real piece of work, too. How shameless do you have to be to accept that so matter-of-factly? Ethan, meanwhile, was lost in a frantic fantasy. That damn brat. If I marry Jasmine, there's no way I'm enabling that. I'll have to make her cut ties with that toxic family. If they're like this during the day, Do they sleep in the same bed at night? It's terrifying. To break the awkward silence, Ethan forced a sunny smile and asked Jasmine, "Your brother goes to school nearby, too, right?" "He's asking you a question," Jasmine said without looking up, carefully applying sunscreen to Cole's hand. Their fingers intertwined as she worked the lotion into every nook and cranny. The sight made the other's eyebrows twitch. Feeling his sister's soft, smooth hands on his, Cole was secretly thrilled. She could be fierce and was always hitting him, but she was also incredibly caring. He glanced at the so-called gentleman. "Ethan, Eastwood University, business school, freshman. Oh, so you just finished field training." Ethan chuckled. "Freshman year is tough. You should focus on your studies, little brother, not just wander around all the time. Go to class, kid, and stay out of the way." Cole chuckled right back, taking the opportunity to give Jasmine's hand a little squeeze. Once the sunscreen ritual was finally over, the group started renting their bikes. Wendy and the others all chose bicycles with rear racks, ready to experience the joy of laughing on the back of a bike. "Jasmine, let your brother ride one without a rack," Ethan suggested, a look of faux concern on his face. "Those are easier to pedal. I'll take one of these and give you a ride." "It's fine," Jasmine smiled. "He needs the exercise." Ethan's concerned expression froze. "What kind of exercise is that?" He forced a laugh. Right. He then sulked off to rent his own bike. At that moment, the word exercise triggered a memory for Jasmine. She turned and gave Cole, who was inspecting the bikes, a resentful whack on the back. "Which one?" "Let's just get an e-scooter," Cole said, walking over to the scooter stand. The electric scooters could easily carry 2 people. He asked the owner, confirmed that no one would bother them for riding double at North Lake, and paid for the rental. Jasmine didn't care either way. Any ride was fine with her. The scooter's battery indicator was full. It looked like it had plenty of stamina. As Jasmine settled onto the back seat, her figure was thrown into sharp relief, drawing the eyes of every guy they passed. The gazes of envy, jealousy, and hatred shot toward Cole like 1,000 converging swords, sharp enough to skewer him. He felt a pair of arms wrap around his waist. A wide grin spread across his face as he announced, "And we're off." With a twist of the throttle, the scooter carried the siblings forward. The group of 7 set off, each with their own thoughts. The surface of North Lake was vast, and a cool breeze carrying the faint, grassy smell of water blew against them, a refreshing and uplifting feeling. The scooter moved forward at a leisurely pace. Jasmine kept pointing to buildings across the lake, explaining what each one was. Cole knew North Lake better than anyone, but he played along, murmuring, "Oh, I see. Wow." The path was crowded with pedestrians, and the road conditions weren't great, forcing Cole to brake frequently. Each time, Jasmine bumped into his back. Strangely, she didn't hit him this time. She was too absorbed in her role as tour guide. Before he knew it, Jasmine was pressed completely against his back, holding on tighter. The thin fabric of their shirts felt like no barrier at all. This feeling, it was absolutely exhilarating. Trailing behind the scooter, Ethan's face was dark. The bike he had chosen was, for some reason, incredibly difficult to pedal. Every time he tried to speed up, it took a huge effort. Coupled with the crowds, he couldn't even manage to pull up alongside Jasmine. Wendy and Beth's boyfriends were having an even worse time. Their bikes were heavy, the weather was hot, and after just a short distance, they were huffing and puffing. They were filled with regret. They should have rented a scooter too. They didn't know if you could laugh on the back of a bike, but they were pretty sure they wanted to cry. The rear rack was hard as a rock, digging into their backsides. When they reached the middle of the lake, there was a rest area with a small convenience store. The 7 of them stopped for a short break. The 2 boyfriend drivers were relieved, their legs trembling as they got off their bikes. The constant starting and stopping in the crowd had been pure torture. Ethan dragged his stiff legs over to Jasmine. He stretched his arms wide, took a deep breath, and said with a look of pure bliss, "It's so nice to get out for a bike ride like this every once in a while. It feels great." Wendy and the others exchanged odd looks. Is this really the time for that? Shouldn't you be rushing inside to buy her a drink? But in the next second, Ethan started ordering Cole around. "Hey, little brother, hurry up and go buy some snacks and drinks. It's so hot. Your sister must be dying." Everyone. When he shot Ethan a long look, sighing internally. If you're trying to win a girl over, be generous, be smart. Why are you trying to use someone else to show your own concern? This guy was known for being a bit cheap, but she never imagined he'd be this cheap. Ethan didn't notice the cold flash in Jasmine's eyes. "Sis, I'm going to buy you some snacks. It's packed in there, so you just wait on the scooter," Cole said, naturally taking charge. As for a certain someone else, he couldn't be bothered to even acknowledge him. "Okay, go ahead," Jasmine said, settling back onto the scooter. The two couples then sent their respective boyfriends in to buy things, while Wendy and Beth came over to chat with Jasmine. Is there anything in particular you want? I can bring it out for you, Ethan said, seeing the other guys go in. He was relieved. Treating Jasmine alone was fine. She wouldn't eat much anyway. But treating the whole group would have been way too expensive. No thanks, my brother will take care of me, Jasmine said, her expression flat as she looked toward the store. All right then, I'll go take a look inside too, Ethan said, disappointed but also glad for his wallet. The three girls chatted for a bit. The two boyfriends soon emerged, carrying small snacks and bottles of water. They were followed by Ethan, who was holding 2 bottles of Aquafina. Jasmine, here, have some water, Ethan said, opening a bottle and presenting it to her like a gentleman. Really, it's okay. You can have it, Jasmine replied politely, her brow slightly furrowed as she refused. But Ethan insisted. Take it. Your brother just started college. He probably doesn't have much spending money. He had noticed Cole wandering around inside empty-handed, probably looking for the cheapest option. Wendy, listening nearby, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Ethan guy looks so clean-cut and handsome, so suave, but how is his emotional intelligence so low? I said no. Ethan, if my brother doesn't have money, I'll provide for him. You don't need to worry about that, Jasmine said, her gaze serious and firm as she looked at him. Okay, he conceded, forced to retreat under her stare. He smiled awkwardly and stepped aside. A total enabler, he thought. She's going to spoil him rotten. If we get together, I have to make her cut ties with her family. Otherwise, she'll drain every penny we have on him. Just then, Cole finally came out, carrying a full plastic bag. In his other hand, he held a small cup of Häagen-Dazs. Why did you buy so much? Jasmine asked, opening the bag to find spicy chips, marinated chicken feet, small cakes, hot dogs, lemonade. This is what I call a culinary journey. Cole grinned, a mischievous glint in his eye. You could be the elegant foodie, and I'll be responsible for carrying you to the ends of the earth. You and your sweet talk, Jasmine chided, rolling her eyes, but her heart fluttered. Cole opened the ice cream, scooped up a spoonful, and held it to Jasmine's lips. Already accustomed to this, she naturally opened her mouth. Ethan, standing nearby, watched this scene with a sour feeling in his gut, wanting to rush over and scream. Let me do it. After feeding his sister a spoonful, Cole took one for himself. Ethan sneered internally. Great, now you've contaminated it with your saliva. Let's see what you do now. But then Cole fed another spoonful right into Jasmine's mouth. Not only did she not mind, she licked the spoon cleaner than her own face. Suddenly, the Aquafina in Ethan's mouth tasted incredibly bitter. He roared in his mind. Don't you know anything about boundaries between a grown brother and sister? Whether a grown brother and sister needed boundaries was a question Jasmine didn't know the answer to, and Cole certainly didn't. The two of them shared the ice cream. One bite for you, one for me. He'd only bought 1 bottle of lemonade, 2, which they passed back and forth. The sight left Wendy and the others completely dumbfounded. They called this a sibling relationship? Hell, they acted more like a couple than the actual couples in the group. There was no sappy, lovey-dovey gazing into each other's eyes. They just naturally ate what the other fed them. Normal siblings weren't like this. They usually bickered and found each other annoying. This pair was different. They were like 2 halves of the same person. After eating and drinking their fill, the 7 of them set off again, each with a different mood. This time, however, Jasmine took the driver's seat. She was eager to experience the thrill of giving her little brother a ride. Little did she know, this played right into Cole's hands. Because Ethan hadn't gotten a plastic bag, he was now awkwardly trying to ride while clutching his bottle of water and the handlebars. He finally put the bottle in a shallow basket up front, but after a short distance, the water bottle made a break for it and fell out. Ethan wanted to go back and get it, but just then, another e-scooter zipped past, knocking the perfectly good bottle of water out of his path. By the time he looked up, the group was already far ahead. Forgetting his fallen water, he frantically pedaled with all his might to catch up. Under the cool lake breeze, the sun no longer felt so scorching. Cole was in an excellent mood, not because of the wind, but because he had his arms wrapped around his driver's slender waist, and his driver hadn't told him off. So slim, so soft. His hands began to wander of their own accord. Hands! Jasmine finally snapped. Any longer, and the ticklish sensation would have driven her straight into the lake. But that hand kept moving, sneaky and persistent, here one moment, there the next. Jasmine barely maintained a calm exterior, though a faint blush crept up the back of her ears. When she felt the hard shape of his phone pressing in her back, she quickly stopped the scooter, dismounted, and shot Cole a fierce glare. She pinched a soft bit of flesh on his waist. You little monster, she hissed. You drive. Cole winced in pain and obediently switched to the driver's seat. It's not my fault, he thought, but a new problem arose. Her sitting behind him was a major distraction. In the end, Cole came up with a solution. He had Jasmine place the bag of snacks on her lap, turning it into a makeshift storage rack, one with a built-in anti-theft device. His waist was pinched again and again by Jasmine. Internally, Cole was ecstatic. It was a painful sort of pleasure. He sped up the scooter, leaving the other 5 far behind. He hadn't wanted to deal with them in the first place and was only tolerating them for his sister's sake. They were outsiders, not worth a single thought. When she was tired of pinching him, Jasmine rested her head on Cole's broad back, a faint smile on her lips as she gazed into the distance, lost in thought. They rode on, stopping here and there, not starting back until 3 in the afternoon. They had long since lost the other 5. Jasmine's roommate had called at one point, but she hadn't answered. On the way back, you can't just throw money around, you know? Especially not on girls. You hear me? Jasmine switched into lecture mode. Heard you. And no sneaking off into the woods to fool around. But, what if I get tempted? Cole started getting ideas again. If you really can't control yourself. Are you listening to me? I'm listening. Jasmine fell silent. But sometimes silence speaks louder than words. The answer was clear. Feeling his sister's indulgence, Cole couldn't help but think again about what had happened in his past life. After they returned the scooter and were walking arm in arm toward Eastwood Tech's Eastgate, Cole, just to be safe, made a serious demand. Sis, from now on, you're not allowed to go to strange places, especially not to drink. And you are definitely not allowed to go to bars or clubs. Jasmine was stunned. It took her a moment to process what he'd said. She didn't even know which way a bar door opened. Assuming Cole just didn't like those places, she answered honestly. I never go. I haven't even had a drink without you around, let alone seen the inside of a bar. Then she asked teasingly, what about club activities? Or what if I have to go to a dinner for a job recruitment event? As if she needed to go to a recruitment event. She was going home to help her dad with the family business and barely participated in any school activities. Not allowed. Quit the clubs. And who needs a recruitment event? I'll provide for you, Cole said, his tone firm and unyielding. Jasmine froze, staring at her suddenly domineering little brother as if she had discovered a new continent. She studied his profile silently, as if trying to get to know him all over again. What's wrong? Is there something on my face? Cole turned his head slightly. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the world seemed to stand still. After a long pause, Jasmine gave him a look that was half pout, half scolding. You're so bossy. That single, playfully angry glance sent a shiver through Cole's heart. He bit his tongue to suppress certain wayward thoughts. So, will you listen to me? He asked seriously. I'll listen. Oomph. You little monster. I'll listen to you. But I'm warning you, if you don't provide for me in the future, I'll bite you to death. As she said this, she gave his shoulder a light, playful bite. Cole was deeply moved. He knew that when Jasmine said she would do something, she meant it. At least he could eliminate those risks. Just as he was basking in this touching moment, a sharp pain shot through his waist. Jasmine's expression snapped from flirtatious to fierce as she twisted a handful of his flesh. You were just being mean to me, weren't you? She said menacingly. Tell me, will you dare to be mean to me again? Heaven as my witness. Was I ever mean? Cole wailed all the way back. 20 minutes later, at the Eastwood University Law School women's dormitory, Serena, her face etched with worry, obediently followed her mother, Helen, downstairs and got into a black Audi 8. Just moments before, Serena had been carefully getting ready for her evening date at the lake. But then her mother had shown up unannounced, right at her dorm room. She said that Serena's grandfather was gravely ill and wanted to see her. The news sent a jolt of panic through her. With her mother already distraught over her grandfather's illness, Serena didn't dare pull out her phone to let Cole know what was happening. The atmosphere in the car was oppressively quiet. Serena understood her mother's anxiety and didn't want to disturb her, so she just stared blankly out the window, her mind filled with images of her doting grandfather. A familiar figure on the sidewalk caught her eye. He was walking at a leisurely pace. It was Cole. Serena's eyes widened. But the car was moving, and in an instant he was gone. She desperately wanted to send him a message, but she knew her mother. If Helen saw her on her phone, there would be questions. Your grandpa's sick and you're just hanging out online? Who are you even talking to? Classes haven't even started yet. How busy could you possibly be? It was better to avoid making a scene. Once they got to the airport, she would sneak off to the restroom and send him a message. She felt terrible for standing him up. They had plans for dinner and a walk by the lake. She'd have to make it up to him when she got back to school, she thought. At 4 o'clock, Cole returned to his dorm. He took a long, comfortable shower, changed his clothes, and got ready for the evening's main event. For a master of time management, 2 dates in one day was a piece of cake. The thought of the lakeside rendezvous made his heart race. I'll have to find a dark spot, he schemed, to make it more convenient to expand the scope of my services. At 5 o'clock, Cole arrived excitedly at the law school women's dormitory. He sent a message. I'm here. He waited patiently for 5 minutes. No reply. What's going on? He sent another message. Where are you? 10 minutes later, still nothing. Cole looked up at the building. He didn't see her familiar figure, only a girl talking on the phone on a third-floor balcony. Did something happen? He wondered. Serena wasn't the type to change plans without letting him know. It had to be some kind of emergency. After thinking for a moment, he decided not to call. On his way back to the dorm, he took a detour to the Verizon store off campus. He picked out a new Samsung smartphone for Luna, one that cost a little over $300. It only had 3G, but for this era, that was more than enough. As his #1 reserve employee, she needed a way to be contacted. From there, Cole walked over to the accounting department's women's dormitory. All this back and forth had to be at least 4 or 5 miles of walking. Inside room 603. Luna, are you sure you don't need to go to the clinic? Brianna asked, looking worriedly at Luna, who was lying in bed. I'm fine, really, Luna replied, her voice weak as she forced her heavy eyelids open. She'd been perfectly fine this morning, but in the afternoon, a fever had suddenly hit her. They didn't have a thermometer in the dorm, so she didn't know her temperature, but her whole body felt like it was on fire, and it seemed like she could breathe flames. A splitting headache and total body weakness made her miserable. It was strange. She almost never got sick. She made it through field training without a problem, only to fall ill the moment it was over. Figuring she could sleep it off in a couple of days, she didn't want to go to the campus clinic. For one, it was far, and for another, it cost money. All right, well, get some sleep, Brianna said, not pushing it. A little while later, Felicity came in. Luna, she called out, that guy who brought you the sunscreen is here. He's downstairs. Forget it. She's not feeling well, Brianna said. But to her surprise, Luna scrambled out of bed. I'll just go down for a minute. Hey, you're sick. Why are you going down? Just have him come back another time, Brianna said, completely confused. She could tell they weren't in that kind of relationship. Yet Luna was placing so much importance on this meeting. It was a mystery. When she asked, Luna was as tight-lipped as a clam. It's okay. I'll just be a minute. Luna, dizzy and lightheaded, had to lean against the bed frame for a moment to steady herself. Seeing that she couldn't be persuaded, Brianna just sighed and let her go. Fighting through her discomfort, Luna made her way downstairs, clinging to the wall for support, taking each step one at a time. Cole was here, and it was probably about the shop. She had to go down. After waiting for a while, Cole finally saw Luna. But something was clearly wrong with the girl. Her lips were an unnaturally bright red, yet she had no energy. Seeing Cole, Luna managed to say, Sorry to keep you waiting. Are you not feeling well? Cole could tell at a glance. Just a little. It's nothing, she said, her voice barely a whisper as she struggled to keep her swaying body upright. Then why did you force yourself to come down? You could have just had your roommate pass on a message. Cole had planned to give her the phone and maybe a few pointers, but now was obviously not the time. Luna shook her head, a stubborn light in her otherwise listless eyes. Here, take this. Go back and get some rest, Cole said, holding out the plastic bag with the phone box inside. Luna didn't ask what it was. She reached out to take it, but a sudden wave of dizziness washed over her, and her body swayed, about to collapse. Cole quickly lunged forward and caught her. This was serious. He placed the back of his hand on her forehead. Holy, she was burning up. A high fever. It had to be at least 102. No, you have to go to the hospital. Luna could no longer speak. She gasped for air, her whole body aching. All she wanted was to lie down and sleep. Feeling her go limp in his arms, Cole realized she needed to get to the clinic immediately. He turned, bent down, and helped her onto his back. Wrap your arms around my neck. We're going to the campus clinic now. Her thoughts slowing to a crawl, Luna instinctively did as she was told. Some part of her subconscious told her that this was the only person she could trust. Cole hooked his arms under her legs, gave a little bounce to settle her more securely on his back, and started moving. She was probably around 100 pounds. He was surprised. She looked so thin, but she was a healthy weight. He ignored the soft pressure against his back. This was no time for inappropriate thoughts. He headed toward the engineering campus, where the nearest clinic was located. Near was a relative term. It was still a good mile away. The Eastwood campus was massive. Halfway there, Cole started to desperately miss the e-scooter. Carrying 100 pounds for this long was no easy feat. His breathing was becoming ragged, his steps heavier. He gritted his teeth and pushed on, silently cheering himself on. Come on, 18-year-old stamina, don't fail me now. The breath on his neck was scorching hot. If she didn't get treatment soon, the fever could cause real damage. He didn't slow down. Instead, he picked up the pace. The late September weather was still hot, and sweat poured down Cole's face. Students passing by cast curious glances. Two girls offered to help, and Cole was about to accept when the hands around his neck tightened. He politely declined the two upperclassmen's kind offer. Just as he was panting heavily, the campus clinic finally came into view. Inside, a dozen or so students were sitting and getting 4 drips. He helped Luna into a chair and took her temperature. 103. 5-degree F. Cole was shocked. It was a good thing he'd brought her. Otherwise, she might have gone into shock. After a quick diagnosis, the doctor said it was a viral flu, likely brought on by a combination of not being acclimated to the local environment and exhaustion from field training. They'd seen quite a few similar cases. Rockford was a unique place. Many newcomers experienced various kinds of discomfort. Seeing an empty bed, Cole carried the feverish Luna over and laid her down. She was in no condition to sit up for an 4. Once the nurse had the drip started, Cole finally sat down on the chair beside the bed, his legs trembling. Man, I must be out of shape, he thought. A mile with a passenger, and I'm wiped. On the bed, Luna's eyes were tightly shut, her small face flushed red from the fever. She was still wearing the same plain, loose-fitting red t-shirt and a pair of faded blue jeans. She hadn't spent any money on new clothes, Cole noted. Hard-working and unpretentious, she was the perfect employee. Noticing the cool temperature from the indoor air conditioning, Cole took the thin blanket from the foot of the bed, unfolded it, and draped it over her. As he pulled it up to her chest, he felt a faint sense of something being different from before, but he didn't dwell on it. While she rested, he went out and bought a bottle of water and a can of rice pudding. As dusk fell, the number of students in the clinic dwindled until only 3 patients remained. The alarm he'd set to signal a new 4 bag went off, jolting Cole awake from his doze. He called the nurse over, who changed the bag. He checked his phone and saw he had messages from Serena. I'm so sorry. My grandpa is sick, and my mom came to get me this afternoon. I'm at the airport, about to board. I'm really sorry, Cole. I'll make it up to you when I get back, okay? Please don't be mad. Along with the 2 messages was a picture. Airport. JPG. Cole smiled, relieved. The campus belle was as considerate as ever. She'd known to message him back. He looked up at Luna. Her face was no longer red. He gently placed the back of his hand on her forehead. The fever had mostly broken. Her forehead and the back of her neck were covered in tiny beads of sweat. She was probably soaked. Sweating was a good sign. It meant the fever was breaking fast. Cole poured half a cup of hot water from a dispenser and mixed it with bottled water to get the temperature just right. He stuck a straw in it, which he'd gotten from the clinic's small shop. He gently placed the straw between her lips. The 4 would rehydrate her, but her mouth would still be dry and bitter. Sleeping, Luna's lips moved slightly, and she took a small sip. When he figured she'd had enough, Cole placed the cup on the bedside table and went back to dozing in his chair. He was hit by that classic autumn fatigue. With no TikTok to scroll through in this era, boredom quickly gave way to sleep. As his breathing settled into a steady rhythm, the girl on the bed slowly opened her eyes. Luna turned her head, her gaze fixed on the person sleeping beside her bed. His weary reflection was captured in her eyes. She just watched him, lost in thought, barely moving except for the occasional blink. Since she was a little girl, no one besides her late father had ever been this kind to her. She could read people's eyes, and she knew what was and wasn't in his. This person didn't have that kind of intention. Because of her body, the way other men looked at her felt predatory, like they wanted to devour her. The women whispered cruel things behind her back. It made her feel terrified and disgusted. Every day, she felt like she was walking on eggshells. She had long since gotten used to hiding her figure, even if the restrictive clothing was uncomfortable. She was always on guard, always vigilant, even propping a chair against her door when she slept. She hadn't known him for long, but in her heart, it was starting to feel like they'd known each other for ages. If he had been around back then, she thought, maybe I would have had a happy childhood. The 4 bag was nearly empty. The alarm went off, waking Cole again. Luna quickly turned her head away, pretending to be asleep. Cole called the nurse to change the bag, then took a tissue and gently dabbed the sweat from Luna's neck. Now that her temperature was stable, she probably wouldn't sweat anymore. Her small face was genuinely beautiful, a different kind of beauty from Serena's or Jasmine's. Serena, when quiet, had a cool, regal air, a face that could bring peace to a nation, the pride of a princess. Jasmine was the sophisticated, high-fashion type, radiating a captivating allure when she wasn't hitting him. Luna, on the other hand, was like a delicate landscape painting, gentle and serene. But from her actions, he could tell she was a classic example of outer softness hiding inner strength. A shame. Cole sighed internally. He was older now, more experienced. He knew that even if clothes showed a certain silhouette, it was often an illusion, the result of padding and push-up designs. Once the truth was revealed, it felt a bit like being scammed. He knew it was a bad way to think, but he couldn't help it. It was like a sickness in his mind. Under the blanket, unseen by Cole, Luna's other hand was clenched tightly around the bedsheet. She could feel him looking at her. If any other man stared at her like that, she would feel disgusted, a cold chill running through her, and she would leave immediately. But now, she just felt nervous. For the first time, she even felt a little self-conscious about her clothes. When the last 4 bag was empty, Luna could no longer pretend to be asleep. She had to wake up. "You're awake. Feeling any better?" Cole asked, checking her forehead again. Her temperature felt normal. "Much better," Luna said, her voice small. She glanced at him, then quickly looked down. "Are you hungry? I have some rice pudding. Want to eat it now?" Cole picked up the can from the table. It was room temperature, perfect for someone who was sick. "I'm not hungry right now," Luna whispered, shaking her head. But just then, her stomach let out a loud gurgle. Her face, which had been pale after the fever broke, flushed red again. She felt incredibly embarrassed and pulled the blanket up to cover half her face. Cole found it amusing and couldn't help but chuckle. The sound made Luna even more flustered. He ignored her protest and, with a soft click, opened the can of pudding. "Come on, eat up," he teased. "You need your strength to walk back to the dorm. I don't think I can carry you again." Beneath the blanket, the corners of Luna's lips curled into a tiny smile. The thought of how he had painstakingly carried her to the hospital filled her with a mixture of shyness and warmth. She gave a soft okay. She sat up and took the can, but before she started eating, she looked at Cole. "You haven't had dinner either, have you? Let's split it." "I ate around 4. "You eat it." Cole almost habitually said, "You can feed me," but caught himself at the last second. "Okay." Luna finally relented and began eating with a small plastic spoon. Looking at the single spoon, she suddenly realized something, and her ears turned red again. After she finished, she felt some of her strength return. Cole picked up the bag of medicine and the bag with the new phone, and they left the clinic. It was already past 9 o'clock. A cool autumn breeze swept by, carrying a hint of chill. A full moon hung in the night sky, and the sound of crickets chirped from the surrounding greenery. It was a night unique to youth. No pressure, just peace and beauty. Cole felt a sense of ease wash over him. "Do you have any siblings?" he asked. I have a younger brother. My mom took him with her," Luna said, a flicker of sadness in her eyes before it vanished. "Your mom? She left," Luna said quietly. Cole fell silent. He understood what left meant. "What about your dad?" he asked. "My dad? He had an accident when I was 8. Luna's childlike voice grew heavy. "I'm sorry," Cole said. He had assumed her parents were divorced, not that. "It's okay." Luna shook her head. Besides her roommates, no one else knew. But when Cole asked, she was willing to talk about it. "Are your grandparents still around?" "They passed away when I was a freshman in high school. After that, I went to live at my uncle's house." Cole didn't ask questions like, "Couldn't you live in your own house?" For a beautiful young girl, living alone was out of the question. The world was a wonderful place, but it had a dark side, too. They walked and talked, one question and one answer at a time. The mile-long walk took them over half an hour. Even though they moved at a snail's pace, they eventually reached her dorm. Luna looked up at the building, feeling like the time had passed too quickly. "Here," Cole said, handing her the bag with the phone and the medicine. "Go back to your room and figure it out. The SIM card is in the bag, too. I already topped it up." "Oh, okay. How much was it?" "I'll pay you back when I have money," Luna said, taking the bag and looking at Cole shyly. She didn't refuse. Cole had said she would need it for work, so it was necessary. "It's a gift. You're my first employee," Cole teased with a smile. "But no quitting on me, okay? I'm counting on you." I won't. I won't quit," Luna said, shaking her head like a bobblehead doll, her voice edged with urgency. "I'm just kidding," Cole said. Seeing her anxious expression, he found it incredibly endearing. She was such a kind, pure-hearted girl. He gestured toward the dorm entrance with his chin. "All right, go on up. Get some rest, and take your medicine on time." "Okay. You. Be careful on your way back." Luna slowly made her way to the building entrance, took a few steps, then turned back. Cole waved again, signaling for her to go inside. She gave a small nod and disappeared into the building. When she reached the 6th-floor balcony, She looked down, but Cole was gone. She frantically scanned the distance and quickly spotted his familiar figure. She watched from afar until he disappeared from sight, then finally went back into her dorm room. Only Brianna and Felicity were there. Her other 3 roommates were out. As soon as Luna walked in, Felicity asked, "How are you? Are you okay?" "Much better," Luna said, sitting on her bed and placing the bag on her nightstand. Brianna plopped down beside her and felt her forehead. "You're right, the fever's gone." Then she started teasing. "And you said you two weren't dating. We all saw him carry you to the clinic. On a hot day like this, he must have been exhausted. I told you to go to the clinic, and you wouldn't, but the second he shows up, you go, TSK, TSK. Luna was mortified. She hadn't expected to feel so weak after going downstairs. She wanted to explain that they weren't dating, but the words caught in her throat, suppressed by some strange, unspoken feeling. "What's this?" Brianna rummaged through the medicine bag, then opened the other one. "Whoa, a new phone." She looked at the model and gasped. "Isn't this Samsung model like over $300? Your boyfriend got it for you? Damn, he's loaded." Felicity immediately crowded around to look. Most of them used Nokias or Motorola's, the kind that cost under $100. Unless your family was well off. Who would splurge on a $300 phone? Hearing the word boyfriend, Luna's cheeks flushed, but she still didn't explain. The price of the phone made her uneasy, though. It was too expensive. She'd have to pay him back once she started earning money. Brianna and Felicity took her silence as a confirmation. When it came to phones, Luna was a complete novice. With her 2 roommates' help, she finally managed to install the SIM card. After clumsily logging into Facebook Messenger, she found a friend request. "I'm Cole." She quickly accepted and sent a message. "Are you back yet?" On his way back to the dorm, Cole sent a reply to Serena. "No worries. We'll do it next time." After a moment's thought, he added with a wicked grin, "So, is any kind of compensation on the table?" Serena's profile picture was grayed out. Who knew when she'd see the message? Cole left it and didn't think about it again. He got back to the dorm. Only Frank was there, lying on his bed like a corpse, clearly still not over the pain inflicted by the upperclassmen. The other 2 animals were out somewhere, God knows where. Perhaps because he finally had an audience, Frank tossed and turned, then suddenly sighed dramatically. "Cole, I feel like you're the only one who understands my pain." He then slammed his fist on the bed in anguish. Why do good guys like us always get dumped? Without even looking at him, Cole, who was booting up his computer, said, "First, take the us out of that sentence. Second, you weren't dumped." Huh. Frank automatically filtered out the first part, his face a mixture of confusion and a desperate hope for validation. "What do you mean I wasn't dumped?" Cole smirked. "At best, you just lost your ATM privileges." ATM privileges? Frank looked thoughtful, as if he were trying to grasp some profound meaning. Cole expected him to launch into some self-deprecating, tragic monologue. Instead, Frank smacked his lips a few times, a look of sudden enlightenment on his face. He slapped his bed again. "I get it now." Cole shot him a sideways glance. "Good. The sooner he figures it out, the better. Maybe he won't get taken for a ride again." But then Frank, as if preparing for a peaceful death, clasped his hands over his chest and let out a long sigh. "I was judging a book by its cover. The upperclassman was trying to save me from myself, to help me see the error of my ways. She's such a kind person. I completely misunderstood her." Cole? A severe case of self-gaslighting? Or is he just hypnotizing himself to lessen the pain? Either way, it was a good thing. Better than going broke later. A short while later, Preston and Javi came back, one after the other. Both looked incredibly pleased with themselves, as if they'd just had the time of their lives. They walked in, sat down, and immediately started tapping away at their phones. Preston was even humming a tune, one that sounded suspiciously like a cheesy love song. After sending his message, Preston, still buzzing with energy, paced back and forth behind Cole's chair. "If you have something to say, just say it," Cole said, busy browsing the websites for the local business and health departments. He needed to get his business license and food service permit as soon as possible, along with his tax registration. The health permit was particularly tedious, but he could at least start the online application and wait for the certificate to arrive while he was operating. But as he looked, he realized he was missing something, a food handler's card. Without it, he couldn't even apply. "Okay, first thing tomorrow morning. Guess what I did tonight?" Preston leaned on Cole's desk, a mysterious look on his face. Cole didn't even raise his eyelids. "Went on a date." "Whoa, how did you know?" Preston feigned exaggerated surprise, his eyes screaming, "Keep asking. Keep asking." Cole just scoffed. "Please, it's practically written on your forehead." "Huh, is it that obvious?" Preston touched his forehead, then puffed out his chest with pride. "You're right, I did go on a date. We had dinner." "Oh, So you're making progress. Cole, assuming it was dinner followed by a romantic walk, indulged his curiosity. Did you hold hands? Preston shook his head. Not yet. So, after dinner you went to a movie? No. You were at dinner this whole time? No, I'm busy. Get lost. We handed out flyers, of course. We just got back, Preston said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Cole was dumbfounded. With a sliver of disbelief, he had to ask, You two paid for dinner? Yeah. Ask Javi if you don't believe me, Preston said, as if he needed a witness to prove his point. Javi nodded emphatically. Cole's eyes widened. And after dinner, they went with you to hand out flyers? No, they left right after we ate. Said they had something urgent to do. Cole took a deep breath and confirmed, one word at a time, so you paid, and then you stayed to finish their work for them? And that's what you call a date? Yeah, what's wrong with that? They had dinner with us, so it's only right that we help them out. It's called being considerate, Preston said, his face a mask of pride as he shot Cole a look of disdain. Cole was floored. Now that's true dedication, he thought. My own mind is just too dirty. Preston, glowing with confidence, smiled. I'm telling you, man, if you want to get a girlfriend, you need to learn from me. You have to play the long game. Don't rush things. It's okay to be a little thirsty, but don't be desperate. You have to close the distance step by step until she's addicted to you and can't live without you. Cole's jaw dropped. He was truly shaken. TSK. This guy is the real expert. He's got a solid theoretical foundation. Cole clasped his hands together in a gesture of respect. The corners of Preston's mouth turned up in a self-satisfied smirk. He clapped Cole on the shoulder. If you could learn just a third of this, he said sagely, that department belle probably wouldn't have dumped you. Oh well, keep trying. With that, he sauntered off to the bathroom, completely content. Cole blinked, then closed his mouth. Such a profound theory was probably best left unlearned. He closed the browser window and opened Facebook Messenger. Bling! A message popped up. A squirrel avatar was bouncing on his screen. Are you back yet? It was Luna. Her username was QuietMe. Compared to the cringy, unique usernames of this era, hers was simple, but it fit her perfectly. Cole replied, explaining, I'm back. Was just talking to my roommates, didn't see the message. She replied almost instantly. Oh, okay. I'm going to sleep then. Good night. Cole wrote back. Okay, get some rest. Remember to take your medicine in the morning and follow the doctor's instructions about eating before or after. The 4 was just a one-day thing. Not like in the future where they'd keep you on a drip for 3 days, charging you by the day, with no guarantee you'd feel better. Luna. Okay, good night. Then her squirrel avatar turned gray as she went offline. After a moment's thought, Cole sent one more message. Good night. He wouldn't normally do that for other girls, but Luna was different. She was his #1 employee, and her gentle yet resilient personality deserved proper respect. The next day, early in the morning, Cole went back to the campus clinic to get his food handler's card. The card itself wouldn't be ready right away, but on Monday he could at least go to the business bureau to register the shop's name. There were a lot of tedious steps, but for his first shop, he had to do it all himself. He had already thought of a name, the Tea Alchemist. The famous chain he was riffing on wouldn't pop up for a few more years. They probably wouldn't mind him borrowing the concept. Bling! His phone buzzed. Facebook Messenger. He opened it. It was the campus bell. Serena, Grandpa had surgery, and he's doing okay. I was so scared. He's the best. A few seconds later, another message came through. Anything for compensation is fine. Cole grinned. He deliberately typed back. Really? Anything? He was halfway back to the dorm before she replied. Well, some things are off the table, see no evil monkey. Cole's heart started to itch. He replied cheekily, like what? Serena, I don't know, see no evil monkey. Just, some things are off the table, see no evil monkey. My dear campus belle, you've changed, Cole thought, shaking his head. You're not an ice queen at all anymore. He grinned. But damn, I like it. Just then, another message popped up. At most, you can have. That's see no evil monkey. Huh? Cole froze. I thought you were going to offer to buy me dinner. I didn't ask for that. I'm not just a technician, you know. Are you compensating me or booking my services? But it's not like I'm opposed. Cole's mind flashed back to their last encounter. He swallowed hard, an unbearable itch spreading through him. He couldn't help but blurt out in a message. In that case, can I take a bite? She immediately went offline. Cole rubbed his nose, embarrassed. A 32-year-old soul could be so shameless. Look what he'd done, scare the good girl away. It wasn't until he got back to the dorm that his messenger pinged again. Serena, you want to eat it? You're such a pervert, unamused face. Reading that, even Cole felt a pang of shame for his particular kink. How could I? Still, it sounds delicious. All right, she called you a pervert. Your image is ruined. Game over. Cole sighed, tossed his phone on the bed, and grabbed the clothes he'd worn yesterday to go wash them. He was scrubbing away when he heard his messenger ping again. He finished his laundry, hung it up to dry, and only then did he casually pick up his phone. It was Serena. His heart skipped a beat as he opened the message. Just one bite. No more. I'm flying back the day after tomorrow at the latest. Can I take a bite? Instantly, a fantastic scene bloomed in his mind. Cole felt the blood rush through his veins, his mind buzzing. A wave of heat washed over him. This hit a soft spot deep in his old, lecherous heart. Campus Belle, you really know how to play the game. Even with his 32 years of experience, it took Cole a great deal of effort to suppress his excitement and a certain appetite. He calmly replied, "Okay, waiting for you." After all, he had to maintain his cool. Meanwhile, in a major hospital in the capital, in the hallway outside a patient room, Serena sat on a long bench, her hands covering her burning face, her mind still replaying Cole's request for compensation. How could he be like that? Seriously, what's so good about eating it? But I can't help it. I'm the one who stood him up. When the time comes, will he bite? What do I do? I'm so scared. Serena, her mother, Helen, poked her head out of a VIP room. Grandpa's awake. Come talk to him. Coming, Mom. Serena replied quickly, her face lighting up with joy. Her grandpa was her favorite person, the only one who could keep her mom in check. It was only because she knew he had pulled through that she had the peace of mind to reply to Cole's messages. She composed herself, transforming back into the cool, obedient girl, and hurried into the room. On Sunday, Cole made a trip to a wholesale market for restaurant supplies. These costs were directly tied to his profit margin, so he had to put in the effort to negotiate with the most affordable suppliers. Each stall here was essentially a small trading company, buying raw materials and supplying them to various businesses for a markup. The reaction from every stall owner was the same. They saw how young he was and immediately grew impatient. Who is this kid? Barely old enough to shave, and he's here to talk business? But then they take a closer look at his clothes, accept the Marlboro he offered, and their attitude would soften considerably. Cole started laying it on thick, telling them his family owned a restaurant group and that they were making him start his own business from scratch without using their established channels. That was why he was here looking for suppliers. Hearing this, the owners' attitudes improved even more. Otherwise, who would believe a kid of 18 or 19? Cole carried a notebook listing all the materials he needed: boba pearls, pudding, coffee beans, various fruit purees for drinks. He let the owners see the quantities he required. By the end of the day, he had locked down a few wholesale suppliers he could work with. He would come back another day to finalize the details. Monday was the first official day of university classes. Back then, freshmen were pretty neutral about A.M. classes, unlike in later years when they would be met with universal dread. Cole diligently attended his morning classes, then went to his faculty advisor to ask for the afternoon off. He put on a stellar performance, claiming he had a sudden case of acute gastritis, and finally got an approved absence slip. The advisor would inform his afternoon professors. Cole didn't know the professor's temperaments yet and didn't dare ask his roommates to cover for him, so he played it safe and got official leave. Then he took his rental agreement and headed straight for the city's business administration office. By the time he finished the name registration process, most of the afternoon was gone. Without stopping, he went to the shop to check on the renovation progress, bringing 2 more packs of Marlboros with him. The contractors were working fast. They'd probably be done in another week or so. Add in time for the space to air out and for him to furnish the interior, and he could definitely be open for business within a month. That month was perfect for getting the business license and health permit sorted. Everything was on track. After chatting with the workers, Cole visited 2 sign-making shops to get quotes for the main sign and an LED display. After gathering the information, he didn't rush to make a decision. He could get that done while the shop was airing out. Cole bought himself an ice cream bar and strolled around. As he passed a real estate agency, a conversation from inside caught his attention. He stopped, pretending to look at the property listings taped to the window. A real estate agent came out. "Hello, can I help you with anything?" "Oh, I'm thinking of renting a place. Just looking for now." The agent enthusiastically welcomed Cole inside. Cole played the part of a student looking for a rental, meticulously stating his requirements, while his ears were tuned to the middle-aged man talking nearby. Urgent sale for immigration. In the first half of 2010, the government had implemented policies to cool down the housing market, but by the second half, prices were already starting to creep back up. The increase would continue steadily until 2018. But that wasn't the point. No matter how much prices rose, Cole had no intention of flipping houses. The returns looked good, but it tied up a huge amount of capital. And who had ever heard of a house flipper making more money than an internet entrepreneur? The key was urgent sale for emigration. This kind of seller was in a hurry and wanted cash. If he played his cards right, he could negotiate a huge discount. This was a chance for some quick money.